fine, I'm James Talbot. There's no party without me. Even Reading Festival's not fun without me. Secretly, I was a bit uncomfortable and just trying to prove myself.
I have to be really honest.
Well, I had a difficult couple of years.
Did you have like a reputation?
And then on the back of that, I became the bully. Alcohol was the worst one.
When do the wheels start to come off then in this story?
So there's one particular moment I was hit by a car, 50 miles an hour the car hit me at. And then it all kind of fell apart when I had a knock at my bedroom door.
It stuck with me for life. For life.
I was pulled into the interrogation room and I watched a video of, and it sent me on an absolute spiral for a number of months, right? And then absolutely fucking lost. Got murdered. He was in a crossfire of Muslim gangs in London. I just feel that England's falling apart a little bit. Any English town, and there are people who are struggling with addiction and mental health, and we're not doing anything to help them. It's a pandemic of addiction. Depressed through oppression. Keep them small, keep them unhappy, give them shit food. It's a problem, and I'm out.
James.
Hello.
Welcome to Class A People.
Thank you very much.
Friend, really?
Yes.
Your dad taught me to drive. Did you know that?
I did know that, I think, yes.
Yeah, and your mum used to do my mum's hair.
Wow.
Back in the day, Whitney, massive.
Wow. And your friend John Failgate.
Yes, forget about that.
Was my first person of call for recovery.
I do forget about that. Did you go to Harbour London?
No, I didn't. I went to rehabilitation in Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was Thailand. Yeah. So John actually was introduced to me via your mum.
Yeah. Big up Fee.
Lovely Fee Viney. And then took me to my first meeting in Blackburleys. It was a CA meeting, which I wasn't necessarily drawn to.
No.
It's quite a raw meeting, that one.
Yeah. If we just say, you've done recovery for how many years?
About 9 years.
9 years, but...
Yeah.
And that's why I like the word recovery, not necessarily sobriety, because...
Yes.
There's
been a couple of times I've re-engaged with my addictions,
yeah,
yes.
Just got to test the waters.
Just see if I'm healed.
Got to double check.
Find out I'm not.
Yeah. Okay, so childhood.
Yes.
How was it? What was it like?
Difficult. Difficult in the respect that I look back on it and don't believe I was comfortable a lot of the time. On reflection, there's lots of bullying in my childhood. Sent to a fancy private school that didn't necessarily fit in particularly well with.
I think there's a common misconception with private education that you should be, you're privileged, and actually, I mean, mine particularly was boarding, and I don't know how much privilege there is in being sent to a school at 13. It's sort of makes you feel quite abandoned, I suppose.
This is right. This abandonment stuff has been consistent through a lot of my life, and something I still deal with now. But the point was, at 13, to boarding school, and given a hard time. Not necessarily accepted by the people around me. Offered drugs at 15 years of age by the head boy.
Wow.
Like that is just. It was almost drugs and bullying, and were almost part of it. It was expected.
100%. It was like the hierarchy thing. I always found it was mad. I think for boys it was worse. I remember. My brother experienced it, and my dad, who went to boarding school from the age of 7. I mean, they used to get sort of like put in tuck boxes and thrown downstairs and made to run until they were sick. Yeah, some things. I mean, we had a gauntlet we used to run down with hips, hockey sticks, and hockey bats, and it's like survival of the fittest, really.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty primitive at times. Coming into your room at night and giving you a hiding, and then on the back of that, I became the bully.
Did you?
Yeah, which until I got sober, played on my mind.
I find that really interesting though, because essentially if you're bullied from a young age, it's your conditioning as a child, right?
Yes.
So for me as well, 7 was when that started, till 13, and then I switched schools. So for me as a 7-year-old, the way to be popular is to do that. You're only 7, and you don't know any other way. So I always now, and this is all with hindsight, like I now have sympathy towards the bully, because I think, well, what were you going through?
Exactly right. So the people that bullied me, I've thought about quite comprehensively, and with some sense of awareness, been like, they had their own stuff going on. There's some abandonment stuff for them. There's some issues with their parents. I've learned, I've investigated, and I've found out, and I've offered peace, and I'm okay with it. But certainly that character I created, that bully, that misogynist, that kind of that arrogant, angry kid that I was from 15 to probably mid-20s, was not me.
No.
So and that person was attracted to the alcohol, the drugs, the just the being an arsehole.
So funny, isn't it? Like that masking.
Yeah.
For so long that even you believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, because when I went to the next school, I wouldn't necessarily say I was a bully, but I was so confrontational, very judgmental, resting bitch face all the time. And I look back on that now, I think, well, that was just me protecting myself because I didn't want the same thing to happen as what happened before. But the problem is that defining age, 13 to 18, those years, that will carry with you until you no longer keep behaving like that. Until
you recognise that it's not you being a true version of yourself. Maybe it's a conditioned version of yourself, and that takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
To recognise flaws in your character and look to make changes, to analyse thought patterns, and therefore look to change those is a lot of work, and it's taken me a long time.
And not play the victim, because for so long it's like, yeah, but this happened to me.
Yeah.
But you can only start doing that stuff when you're get rid of the poison that's obviously drinking drugs.
And I was angry, and I wasn't really happy with what I was doing, and there were lots of things going on in my 20s that have. It was fire for me, the fact that I had these issues in my 20s, because I wanted to prove myself to the world. This is one of the things which has led me to probably be in a relatively secure space now, is because the fact that I had to get over these things, and I had to put the work in and discover who I was and reinvent myself at 29, has led me to learn some interesting, amazing things through the program, through reading, through all sorts of different things, through businesses.
Also, just like down to things like the way I think when you get sober, there's things that you never, when you first go in, you just think, I'm just getting rid of the drug and the drink, and then it's like things like how down to the smallest things like road rage, which is a massive one for me. Really brings out the worst of me. But maybe you'll let someone out and you look at yourself and think, oh, it's not like me. Where did that come from? Or like, I don't know, your reactions, for example. But
yes.
Well, you're ADHD, as am I.
Yeah.
And so that feeds into, sometimes I'm like, is it the addict in me or is it the ADHD in me? Because you're saying about that, the proving to other people and wanting to make your mark on the world, that's like this, constant need for change and success.
Yeah.
And terrified of failure. And I don't know if you struggle with that.
Definitely. That's something I've struggled with my whole life, is this desire to prove and be successful and sort of leave a bit of a mark on the world. And it's only of recent times that I've managed to calm that mentality through. Well, I had a difficult couple of years, and it's kind of put myself into a different headspace with regards to it now.
I have to be really honest. Like, when did I last see you? 3 months ago?
Yeah.
It's like a different person. So has there been quite a lot of change in that time?
Yeah, I've just been over to Sri Lanka. I went to a meditation, martial arts silent retreat for a week. And then I travelled around and I took it on my own, going to some temples for a couple of weeks, praying. And then I went over to Mexico for 10 days.
You're very calm. I think it's always good to like recognise it in people, like some people don't, it's we always talk about the bad stuff, but like, it's really important, I think, to say to people when you notice a like, I don't know, a growth period, whatever you want to call it.
It had to be this. I mean, at the end of last year, I went through breakup. My mates got murdered. Quite a guy who worked for me got murdered. And I had issues with where I was living. The place where I was living were trying to skin me for sort of £6,000 for what I believed were their responsibility with the lease, and that's a lot of money, as well as running my businesses and tackling my ADHD and
trying to stay sober.
And I was injured. So one of my main means of moderating my potential to be obsessive and potential to be attached and all these things I have had to deal with for my life is my exercise. So if I can't exercise, then my mind is not clear.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I had a difficult time. So I've gone away and I've put the work in again. You know, I've re-engaged with more meetings. I've picked up a new sponsor, and I've read researched a lot about calming one's mind. You know, and being present.
So hard that with ADHD though as well.
It's tough.
Yeah.
And if I don't do daily practices, not meditating daily,
Yeah.
and I'm not reading something positive daily or doing a positive list or gratitude list, then I feel the rumination, the negativity, the reactivity
but
just
also
slipping
you blaming
in.
yourself for the fact that you're not doing it, and you know that it helps you.
Yeah.
And I only recently started learning about this, us feeling things in the moment.
Yeah.
And I had this thing now where I look back on my childhood and I'm like, I always thought I was like emotionally mature, but I look back on it now and I'm like, God, I was so behind. I was so behind with everything because everything's delayed.
You're drunk for 10 years, so.
Literally that too. Not helpful.
That doesn't help.
No, not one bit. Well, you think it does because it calms the brain a tad. But then the fallback from that, I mean, I always noticed like my come downs, my hangovers, they were worse than other people's.
Horrendous. I didn't have them very much towards the end because I was just carrying on.
Oh, well, so did I, and I just pass out.
Yeah. Then that's when the Valiums, and they were great. But
yes, loved those. Okay, so left school, that was hard.
Left school, that was hard. Then I moved to Australia.
Did you have like a reputation?
I was the cool kid bully.
Yeah.
That all the girls loved but hated. Yeah, it was difficult. Yeah.
And at this stage, what's your relationship like with mum and dad?
Great.
Okay.
Really good now. I did.
No, back then.
Back then.
Yeah.
Tough because I wasn't aware of it, but I think I had some resentment towards them for sending me to this school, and my relationship with my father was difficult back then as well because he's very clear, concise, accurate with the way he presents himself, and me being ADHD dyslexic, that was quite upsetting for me.
Yeah.
I mean, and so we had a relationship that had to have some work.
Yeah.
Later in life.
Was he willing to do that?
Yeah. He's great. He's softened and he's lovely, and we get on incredibly well now. But when back then, it was tensionous. Yeah.
Something I say on the podcast is like, it's so important to talk about these things, but at the same time, it's never berating parents, because at the end of the day, you have to try to think about it in the sense that, what was my dad's childhood like?
Yes,
to begin with.
Precisely.
And also, your parents are just older versions of you, and I think it's really, a lot of the time sometimes, you just know them as mum and dad, but like prior to you being on this earth, they did have a life.
They have a life
before you.
And they're probably trying their best.
Doing the best they can.
They're doing what
they
believe to be the best decision for them and you, often you ahead of themselves at that particular time. And sending me I got the scholarship to this private school, they believed it to be the right thing.
Yeah, it's not like
because I was struggling with my dyslexia.
Yeah.
So they did not know how things were going to evolve and that I was going to have this difficult period. And you've got to forget. For me, I've forgiven those things, and forgiven the bullies. I'm not sure how I would react if I saw the chat.
Someone
now.
asked me the other day actually what I would, if I'd ever been approached by mine, and I said no. And then they said, well, you could call them out here on TikTok, and I thought, yeah, see, that's where the learning comes in, because me in active addiction, angry, hateful, I'd be all over doing something like that. I'd love to do something like that with a platform. Now me sober, I'm like,
well, it goes back to what you said.
What's that going to do for me?
They had their own shit going on.
Yeah. And what's that going to do for me?
Yeah, exactly.
It'll make me feel good for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then I'll spend the rest of the week hating myself.
This is right, and you'll ruminate on it. Yeah. This is what we do. It's hard.
But again, it's like drugs and alcohol. It's that ease and comfort of that first, you know, it's like the 30 seconds of the first line, the first sip, whatever it is. And then for the rest of it, you're just chasing.
But it leads into this whole, would you have had the vigour and the energy and the drive to do what you're doing right now if you didn't have the ADHD and the alcohol addictions? Would I have the success that I've had in my career if I didn't have those issues? It's kind of like a...
Yeah, but it's literally how it works is that up and down, you know, there's so many plus sides to it. I can't imagine being non-ADHD. I can't imagine not being that. But at the same time, when you start to learn about it, I feel like you kind of then it's like, oh, am I making it my whole personality? I used to, because I really struggled to like sympathise with myself having it. I was like, oh God, you can't get somewhere on time. People have fought in the war. Do you know what I mean? Get a grip. But then when I realised that it's not just what people post about on social media, I started learning about rejection sensitive dysphoria, for example. You know, someone tries to give me some constructive criticism and I think they hate me.
I have that. I struggle with feedback.
I can't do it.
My God.
It's so hard.
Really hard.
And it's not necessarily, you know, if someone says something horrible to me, it won't necessarily be that. But if someone tells me to tidy my room when I know it needs to be tidied, or they say it in the wrong tone, or someone doesn't put a kiss on the end of a text, or...
Yeah.
And I believe so much that I'm right.
And you've got to back yourself.
Yeah.
Out of principle.
Yeah.
I've come 37 years in this world. I back myself.
Yeah. Oh God, it's a beast, really. And I don't know if you ever sometimes have the thought in your head of, would I ever have been a drug addict if I didn't have ADHD?
Yeah, I thought about that a lot.
Same. At the moment, that's like my big thing.
Probably not. I don't know. It doesn't
really
matter.
We're never going to know.
It doesn't matter.
I know.
Yeah,
but that hyperfocus.
But it's this pointless thoughts of things that don't really aid development. But
we can't help ourselves when we get obsessed with something.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you have to pull yourself back and be like, who is this damaging?
So I spoke to my therapist about this. This hyperfocus, what we're talking about. Yeah. This is a gift as well. Yeah.
It is.
So it comes.
Again, it's this double-edged sword.
It comes with issues with depression and addiction, but it also comes with
being able to do like an hour's work.
Yeah,
like 3 days work in an hour.
Determination, creativity. You know, I'm leaving at the moment. I'm going away on Tuesday. Right, I'm going to go to Mexico because I've found somewhere where I believe I'll be more comfortable in an environment to be more creative and fulfilled. Right. Because I'm in this situation in my life now where I've done a lot of the things I need to do, and I'm kind of looking for a next step. You know?
Do you struggle with your ADHD when you do things like that, and you know it's so right, it's the right move for you?
Yeah.
Do you struggle with people's response of being like, oh, there goes James again, being impulsive?
So every person I've told I'm moving to Mexico has said, what a great idea. Family, friends, clients, ex-girlfriends, everyone said it's because I've just been a bit uncomfortable for a prolonged period. And I'm not sure if Oxfordshire's the hub of creativity and openness and acceptance of me. I'm not going to spend my life looking for acceptance because that's not healthy, because that's part of the ADHD. You're wanting to be embraced and validated. Yeah. But certainly over there, with the people I met and the martial arts opportunity and the sunshine and the sober community I found, and to delve into it, the high water levels. So maybe I'm a Piscean and we're all water, aren't we? I was more. I'm in the jungle. I felt
drawn to be there.
Peace there. Yeah.
You say about this validation thing, right? But something I've noticed with mine is, I had a very, very, very bad relationship with social media when I was in active addiction. Disturbingly so, really. I mean, I would get on it on my own, and then I would go through Instagram, create scenarios, you know, hours I would sit there. Yeah. Especially if I was in a relationship and they weren't there, I'd be going through their following list, I'd be doing all this crazy stuff. Since being sober and having a TikTok page, and how quickly that's grown, and that's not to say I'm not grateful, but I don't get that dopamine from that, and I find that bizarre, and I look at that and I'm like, do I not seek that It's because that page is me, purely myself. Like it's not pretending to be someone, whereas in the past, you know, if I put a photograph up, for example, on Instagram and it didn't get over 100 likes, I take it down.
Yeah.
Like I was so, because that is, I'm asking you to like I'm asking you to like a version of me that I don't believe in. It's a mad thing, that.
You still addicted to social media?
No, but I could walk away from the TikTok tomorrow, but that is now my job, so that's kind of tricky. I still have a thing against Instagram where I just don't, you know, where it shows you like previous your archive, and I look at the stuff I was posting. Like you know, with the drug addiction, like you definitely went through a phase where you thought it was very cool, so you were, you know, promoting it but not promoting it. So like, you know, if I was raving all weekend, I was making it very obvious about the life I was living. And I look back on that and the way I was doing that, I think, who is that? Who are you? I don't recognise that.
This is amazing, though. You know,
you were the same, though. You know, like when you look back on like.
Was I putting stuff on social
No,
media?
but I mean when you look at your mid-20s and you see that version, that character.
Yeah, this character. You're kind of exploring and being a different person and not the best version of yourself. It's tough.
Did you know you were doing that though at the time?
Yeah, I was almost manipulating the people around me to like me by playing it, I was trying to predict what I think they'd like me to say, or what I think would cause the most
shock factor,
upheaval and shock. Yeah, how can I shock them into a bit of dopamine so they like me, or if they don't like me, that's okay as well, because at least they remember me.
And then maybe we'll have an argument, and that'll give me some dopamine.
And then they might fancy me afterwards, after I've told them what I really think about life, and then they probably would fancy me afterwards, because it would be
kind of that hate to love you thing.
Yeah. He's so rude, but I fancy him.
Yeah, that Jekyll and
Hyde.
Hyde.
Do you remember those sorts of guys?
Yeah. Funnily enough, right?
Do you want some cocaine, because we should be best friends forever?
Yeah, I was always quite like the guy on the sesh, I would say. Like, but I was, yeah, I never was a girl who like used guys for drugs, because I always wanted my own. I was always in control, like, do you know what I mean? But I definitely have been around men who are like that.
Yeah.
And I've also been around women who are like that.
Yeah, the pretty girls always got the free drugs.
Yeah, I guess I had more times that I gave guys drugs than guys gave me drugs. But that's because
You'd be great at the pie. I wish we partied together. Did we
well,
ever party together? I think we did we?
And my mum, I remember she came home. No, but she came home once, and your mum had said to her, I think they'd been talking about us as their children, and your mum had said to my mum, don't let them ever meet. Don't ever let them meet.
Fucking right,
Which,
mate.
when my mum came home and told me that, I was like, who is he? That need to like, know that. That rebellious side of you wanted to be like, well, I need to know who that is now.
He sounds like great fun.
Great.
I was either the person who brought the most party or the least party. So I was always the one causing the most trouble, or I was the person in the centre of everything, having the wildest time ever. That's what I was. It was opposites. That's what I was always told by people around pubs.
So at 50, how old were you when you first got offered drugs?
15.
Yeah, what was that situation? Weed?
Weed, yeah. Yeah, weed. Cocaine at 16.
See, that's another common misconception with private school, is that people think that we don't do drugs.
Weed was younger than that. Weed was, 15, 16, yeah.
And that was the first time you tried coke at 16?
Yeah. No, sorry, that's a lie. No, I didn't, no. I tried cocaine later.
Okay.
We were ecstasy. We had loads of ecstasy when we were younger, yeah. That was kind of...
So that was where things started?
That was, yeah. And that was like 18, 19.
Those were the days.
But it was just boozy.
Yeah, same.
It was encouraged that after rugby you drink loads of alcohol. We were in the pubs in our school uniforms at 15, 16 years of age, smoking.
And our parents, again, not to berate them, but there's a lot of, I would say, our parents' age. They've got a lot of functioning alcoholics, I would say, in their demographic.
Yeah.
And it was always like, oh yeah, you can have a. My house, for example, was the cool. When I was younger, was the cool house.
I know it was, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard those stories.
Yeah. We were allowed to smoke, we were allowed to drink, and both my mum and dad went away. Me and my brother had fuck off massive parties.
Camel Blues.
Camel Blues.
Camel Blues?
Yeah, loved the Camel Blue.
Love it.
Used to bring back bricks and sell them at school and think it was the coolest thing.
I used to do that as well, yeah.
Yeah, just thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing. I when I look back at like teenage years, all I cared about was being cool, what I thought cool was. It's all I cared about.
And I would adapt myself to be cool. I dressed to be cool. I had this music on to be what I thought, what people around me liked. I think that's a lot of that went on. Well, I was into it as well because it was great fun. Like,
because it was the cool thing.
Yeah, it was great. It was great fun. I mean, I was a bit of an indie boy.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
That was sort of, so it was the skinny jeans, skinny white jeans, and neck scarves, and bleached blonde hair, and turning up to Reading Festival at 16 years of age.
Come on then, give me some stories.
Without a tent, and without a ticket, on the Thursday, and just drugs in my pocket.
Yeah. But I can guarantee you there would be no part of you that didn't think you'd get in.
Oh, I knew I'd get in. Yeah, I'd be fine. I'll get a ticket when I get there. Someone will let me in. I'll jump in the back of someone's car. I'll be fine. I'm James Talbot.
Yeah.
There's no party without me. Even Reading Festival's not fun without me. You know,
that is so true. That thing. It took me a long fucking time to learn. If I don't turn up to that party, they are going to have the worst time.
Yeah.
Now I think back to it, I think all of those people that I would try to get in on a set, right, and if they didn't come, by the time I was on the first line and had the first drink, I'm not thinking about them.
Yeah.
But you can't reverse that on yourself because you think that you are the party.
Yeah.
Insanity.
Secretly, I was a bit uncomfortable and just trying to prove myself. So I mean, like, Reading Festival, just absorbing all sorts of crazy amounts of narcotics, like just overwhelming.
Were you ever scared of taking drugs? People ask me that a lot, so I just...
Not at the beginning, no. No, I just wasn't, because I honestly thought I was invincible. Until I'll talk to you about it in a second, until I had an incident when I was like, I literally thought I could not die. And I pushed myself to the point where I nearly did, a lot of times.
Yeah.
But this is, I did the same on the rugby field. And I do the same in the martial arts cage right now. I still think I'm invincible. This is just something about me. You know, it got me to a situation where I played very high level rugby because I would run at people who were bigger than me and knock them over. And they'd run at me, I hurt them. Anyway, the point was I had the same relationship with drugs and drink.
Yes.
So anyway, so I thought at Reading Festival, all sorts of crazy shit. I managed to get myself on the stage.
Of course.
So I waited for the security guards to part. This was when it was all closed down.
Yeah.
All part. And I managed to jump over, climb on the stage, and then got on the front, and I was there like screaming and shouting. And
all your friends were like, oh my God.
What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then they carried me off and said, silly boy, and took me off. Great, I've got those sorts of crazy fun stories that go on with these things.
I always find what's interesting about those types of stories, though, is that the rush of that was probably more than any of the narcotics you're on. You know, like that crowd.
You're just after more, aren't you? Yeah.
When did things start to get... was cocaine your nemesis?
I think probably alcohol was the worst one.
Yeah.
Alcohol was the worst one. Cocaine was doesn't suit anyone well.
No.
But I did too much of that as well. Yeah.
Did you always...
everything, and just to the point where I didn't know where I was.
Yeah.
That was literally...
Blackout.
Yeah, and I would try to do this...
Oblivion.
Do the same with all of it.
Yeah.
That's just that's something I've had to deal with.
Never enough.
Never enough.
Did you recognise at any stage that you'd used and drank differently to other people?
Yeah, from the minute...
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I had to have
16.
someone tell me that when I first went into recovery, asked me that question, and I'd obviously never thought about it. And then when I thought about it, I was like, yeah. Obviously by the end I knew, but...
Yeah, I was the kid growing up who would go to the house party. I would get drunk and I'd be running around. My thing was run around naked, like party boy. And then I was always the most drunk.
Which is obviously going to exacerbate that reputation.
Yeah.
Tenfold.
I didn't get invited to any parties.
Did that happen to you?
Weddings and stuff in my 20s, yeah. A lot of it, I turned away from people though, consciously, because I was embarrassed about the behaviours. And I was embarrassed about the bullying that I did and I received and then gave from people at school, so I turned away from them. And then I moved around a lot.
Yeah, popped yourself into other crowds.
Yeah, consciously, because I'd go in, do something crazy, do something difficult that they would be upset by, and then go somewhere else.
What are some of these sort of situations that maybe you're regretful of?
At that sort of age, 18, 19. Like, for example, I was playing rugby I was down at Brighton University, and I had a fight with the guy who ran the rugby club, because he tried to make me, just because I was wasted, and ended up being thrown out of the rugby club. That's one that was a pivotal moment where I was good at rugby and I would have enjoyed playing for that side, and they just.
You would want to prove that you weren't in the wrong, even though you knew that you were.
Yeah.
Cost you.
The playing rugby for them, and then I ended up leaving the university, and that would have made a big difference. That popped into my mind then.
But that sense of injustice that we have, which I definitely struggle with, is why me? You know, why is everything? You know, why have I been picked? Why have I done that? You know, so everyone else is getting drunk. So yeah, well, because you're the star of the show, and you've made it that way.
Yeah, and then people don't like the star of the show. Sometimes that's not well received. Sometimes it's good to just drift around and be
nomad.
Yeah, I think so. You don't always have to be the centre of attention. I've come to know hard. I struggle with that because it's dopamine, isn't it? It's ingrained in us to show off, possibly. I mean, there's many things that went on which were socially unacceptable. I mean, yeah. I had one occasion. This is do you want to hear a story?
Absolutely, yeah. We've got to. It's to be as honest and relatable, so that other people who don't feel comfortable talking about this stuff, when they watch us, they're like, "Yeah, I've done that," and you know, to kind of strip away the.
I've got a good one.
Go on then.
Okay, so I went out on a night out in Beaconsfield.
Seventh wonder of the world.
Love it over there. Do you like it over there?
Well, it's just an amazing petrol station, isn't it?
Oh yeah. A Waitrose.
Service station.
It's got a Waitrose, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Got everything.
24-hour.
That was
24
always
bar.
that was always my stop off going from when I was passing between here and London.
Yeah.
That was always the kind of the refill. Stop in, have a couple of lines. Awful.
Love it though. Still this.
Driving and taking drugs.
It's crazy. It's
the thing that really that's the one that keeps me up at night.
Yeah, that's not good.
I
did
the normalisation. You know, like going up to London. Clipboard, racking up lines, feeding them to the driver, me having them, NOS balloons, drinking and driving, just as if I'm not going past 4 million cameras on the motorway, because I am Hannah and I'm invincible.
But you're bigger than the world.
Of course, I'm never going to get caught.
You're more important. Anyway, back to my Beaconsfield story.
Back to your Beaconsfield story.
So, night out, whatever, drinking drugs, woke up in a strange house, didn't know how I got there. What am I doing here? We've done it again.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I go into the kitchen, hello, wake up, where is everyone? Hello, wherever, blah, blah, blah. Go into the kitchen, make myself egg and bacon. Have a good time, put the TV on, have a cup of tea. Are people going to arrive home? No. Don't know where I am. And then let myself out. Thought maybe I would at a friend's house, or maybe I'd picked up a girl or something if she'd gone out to do something. Went home, never thought anything of it. A few months later, knock on the door, police on the door. Turns out that I had broken into an old lady's house, slept on her couch, nicked her egg and bacon, taken money for the taxi.
No.
And then got myself away. I honestly, and it turns out my mate's house was next door.
Oh. So you tried to get there.
So I tried to get there, but I was so drunk, I didn't know where I was, didn't know what was going on. And this poor lady had cameras in her house, and I had to be pulled into the police station. And I had two rather beautiful police women actually interviewing me, watching me with the trilby hat on, in my boxer shorts, dancing in the kitchen, making egg and bacon, and they were just wetting themselves. It was brilliant. I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't do this on
purpose.
On purpose. I was making jokes of it, but secretly I was very upset what was going on. Fortunately, everything was all cleared because it was an accident. But things like that, it's a dangerous situation to be in, you know, and the poor lady's got some trauma around that. It was in her house, nicking her eggs. Can you imagine?
Well, she wasn't in the house.
She was on holiday.
Okay.
She was on holiday.
Imagine coming back and looking at your cameras and just seeing you there whipping up eggs.
Yeah. In a hat with a feather on it.
Yeah.
Like this, like tattoos everywhere, like this. Like,
yeah.
In the kitchen. Who's that strange man with a beard? So that's one of the that's the sort of things that go on.
Did you have other situations with police?
Yeah, there's loads of drink driving. a couple of drink drivings. Also, there was one New Year where I jumped on top of a police car and tried to wee on the police car. I had this thing where I thought I was above the rules, and I got maced, and then put in a cell. Again, they dropped that one because they said they shouldn't have maced me, or the person didn't have a license for the mace. I don't remember it.
My 18th birthday at the bridge in Oxford, I really needed the loo. We were leaving. We finished the night. This is just drinking, and I was with girlfriends, and they were getting the taxi, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to go down that. You know that alley by the bridge? There's the stream and the actual bridge, and then there's the bridge nightclub." Anyway, I needed a wee, so I was squatting down there having a wee. Policeman walked past and was basically saying that it was public indecency because I was having a wee on the side of the street. Anyway, I was completely convinced that this policeman had been booked by my friends as a stripper to perform a dance for me.
Amazing.
I was so drunk, and he ended up actually finding it really funny. But to the point where I was like, you can drop the act. They're not even here to watch. You know, they're up there in the taxi. I was like, are these handcuffs? He went, yes. I was like, God, you really dress up for this. And he just started laughing, and he was like, if you get in that taxi now, I won't book you. I was like, oh, all right. Like, I genuinely did not think that I was.
Wow.
And again, you know, like you're saying, lucky, you know, because he found it funny. You know, they found it funny. But had that been, you know, a different set of circumstances in those states, you know.
Yeah. Any number of times that you and I drunk drive, I suspect we could have caused all sorts of trouble, and it's dangerous situations to be in.
What I find upsetting about that now is that there was never, and it's horrible to admit, but there was never a time where I drug and drove or drank and drove and had a second thought about anybody else. All I was thinking about was me and how I was going to get those drugs.
Yeah, and I was convinced I was driving better.
Oh my, that's a huge,
because I was more attached to
but also I would have been drinking, right? And then I'd smash some lines, and then I'd be like, okay, I can go and drive and pick up now, whatever I was going to do. And I would always then say, always, I'd be like, oh, I don't drink and drive. Like, I draw the line at that. But, you know, if I've had a couple of lines, then I'm all right to drive.
I'm sober.
But forgetting the fact that I've had the alcohol to begin the night.
Yeah. It bounces off, doesn't it? A bit of balance for us both.
Yeah, something we're not very good at. I think a lot of the time about luck, you know, with my life, for sure, and also being in trouble. You know, the amount of drugs I've taken into festivals, you know, I was always the one that would do the carrying, you know. I took fucking 27 grams into Lost Village of MDMA.
Wow.
But I just did that because
we're not risk averse, because I dissect my head and I'll be fine. All the time I'm thinking it's going to end up all right in the end.
And I think there's something about putting that into the universe where that's why you are okay. Whereas people who are like, oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to go? Well, if you're thinking about it so much, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
But is it that, or is it slightly arrogant? I don't know.
Well, there's a different arrogance, confidence, bluffing. I mean, it does get you a long way in society. It can.
So at what point now then are we, you know, so you're 18, you're doing party drugs regularly?
Yeah, I moved to Australia. To Australia at 19.
What happened over there? So that wasn't great, was it?
I fell in love with an Australian model who was just not, what's the word? Not poisonous isn't the right word, but she was
narcissistic?
Yeah, difficult. Narcissistic. And I ended up working in nightclubs and bars.
Yes, let's get into that.
So I used to give all the local strippers who worked in the strip clubs, obviously, free drinks in my nightclub. So they would come on a Thursday, Friday night when they weren't working. They would come and party, and I made the place I was working the busiest place in Surfers Paradise. Mm-hmm. So I always had little twists, little tweaks I was able to bring to light to market little businesses, right? And it was only cheap vodka I was giving them, a cheap gin, but it meant that all the lads came as well, and it just ended up being a great time in that respect. I mean, there was also loads and loads of ecstasy at that time, There was no much cocaine that time in Australia.
The hard things about those situations in particular is like you're essentially being rewarded for that's obviously your job, right? To create a good night.
Yeah.
But it's also where your profanity is like you're like you know you get to be the you're the host of that night and you're running that night. It's you.
Yeah.
So you're getting the accolades basically for being naughty.
The drunkest person, the provider, the enabler.
But at the time, you were just having a fucking great time. Do you know
having
what I
a
mean?
great time.
Yeah.
But it was a very difficult, toxic relationship because I was drinking too much and she was partying too much, and it was lust orientated rather than any kind of common values. It's not because that's what I was.
Trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding, yeah.
Yes, know that one.
Exactly, because that's where I was at. So in Australia and smoking loads of weed and having a good time in some respects.
So your life at this point is looking just party boy.
Absolutely.
And making money. So it's like in that time of your life, it's the best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
You're being paid to party.
I had a beautiful pub with a pool next to on the coast, and the prettiest girl in Australia, I thought, and was living what I thought was a great time.
Yeah, and I suppose to everyone else as well. It's perfect because all this validation you've wanted all your life from everyone else, you're doing it.
Yeah.
Were you happy then?
I don't think so. I think I was probably happier then than I was in my late 20s.
Okay. So did you break up and then come back?
Broke up, came back.
Was there any situation sort of in Australia where you started to think, this is a problem, as in you're using? Did that ever cross your mind?
Not so much then.
Okay.
Not so much then. It was a bit too early for that, really. Yeah. Then I got a job in London, working at Proud Gallery.
Oh, yeah.
Which was pretty wild.
I can imagine.
Yeah. I was only there for a number of months, but again, I was...
Packed a lot in.
Yeah. I was paid to be the party boy. I was on gin and juice for breakfast is what I was on in order to get over the last night's hangover. And then doing big numbers on the bar because I was good at my job. Hosting trainee rock stars. Lots of people in the industry. Again, that only lasted a short period until they realised I was useless and too drunk and sacked me.
Any horror stories in London?
Just
around the clock.
Just around the clock all the time, waking up in weird places, in puddles of urine, this kind of thing, Just not. Just it was falling asleep in toilets.
And women at this point, is there a fascination there too? Sort of, do addictive tendencies transpire with that? Because it seems to be a common.
Possibly, it was quite nefarious when I was younger. Yeah.
I find with ADHD though, very all or nothing. To some people, maybe obsessive. I don't know.
Yes, exactly right. Attachment
very
stuff.
Attached. Yeah. And I would have this common theme in relationships where no matter what I was doing in my life, didn't matter anymore. It's about you. And I would just drop myself into their life, their family, everything, all of it.
Yeah. But with the right person, that's lovely, and that's what they're after. For the wrong person who's got their own set of issues or demons to negotiate, then that's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, an ADHD person is quite susceptible to a narcissist, because it's that love bombing at the start, and then you're constantly trying to recreate it or get it back, and it was never on offer in the first place. So I fell into that.
I've had those situations.
Yeah.
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 It's tough.
Yeah. And on top of that, the self-worth of which, personally, until 30 years old, I've never had any. That feeds that as well. It adds to it. Constantly trying to work back up. Like you're kind of saying about the earning validation. That's kind of can fall into relationships as well. Only what that person thinks matters.
And whether this is your own issues yearning for for their positivity, or whether they're just they aren't feeling negative.
Yeah, or if you try and
struggle
lay
with
a
that.
boundary, for example, and they tell you that that's your own insecurity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had that.
Yeah. So you leave London?
Leave London, and then I do a barbering course, a hairdressing course.
Is anyone in your life saying anything to you at this point, like?
I think my mum and dad have known it was a problem from early dot, but you just kind of ignore that, don't you?
Did they?
I ignore that, what they were saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no point yet that you think, no.
No, this is early 20s. No.
Yeah, okay.
No. I'm still having it.
Large.
Having it large. And that's when I go and do this barbering and hairdressing course to get myself into Australia. That was the intention. I'll do this course, I'll get the qualification, and that will be accepted to go and work and live that better life I thought what I wanted. And it actually turns out I really enjoyed doing it. I got absorbed in it. Hyper-focused in it. I enjoyed the creativity of it. I enjoyed the mixing with people.
I bet as well, talking to different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great mechanism for learning cool shit. It's wicked. And I kind of had a bit of social anxiety and sober. I struggled to interact with people and create connections. So having that career where it's imperative for you to understand the person in front of you in order to create the work to fit their lifestyle and who they are and what they're doing was absolutely great. I couldn't think of anything better. So anyway, I got really engaged with it. Ended up working in a couple of places in London, and then went to open my own shop in Woodstock with my brother a few years later.
How much did you love being able to say, I'm a business owner?
Oh, at the beginning, it was rock and roll, yeah. It was great,
It's the same with the interior design business, you know.
It was great.
And you're probably the youngest person of the people you know that's running
Absolutely.
a business, owning a business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and then that Woodstock Barbers very much became the boozy barbers of Oxfordshire. So we had... so
you introduced booze to the barbershop?
Oh, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I think I did know that, actually.
Yeah. So we were supplied by Master and Brewery. Have you ever heard of Master and Breweries?
Yeah.
I think they own Carlsberg as well. And so there's a ale called 13 Guns Ale. It's a can of beer. It was 5.2% ale. And we were the top purchasing 13 Guns nationally. And this beer was sold to O'Neill's, it was sold to all sorts of other restaurants and hotels and bar chains. And our barbershop in Woodstock was buying the most nationally. We were on about 20 cans a day of this shit.
Wow.
Because we were taking it home.
Yeah.
And because everyone who came in was having a can of beer.
Yeah.
So tradies were popping in on a Tuesday, having a couple of cans in the morning and going about their day. It just
worked.
It just worked.
In a bad way.
It just worked.
Yeah.
I look back on it now with probably there was some poor moral choices to be encouraging alcohol upon everyone, but it's led us to be in a situation where the brand has evolved.
Yeah.
And I was taking it home with me, so it was a problem. It was a problem.
And what about George, your brother? Did he?
He was pretty wild, but if I was a 9 out of 10, he was a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know, 7 or 8 out of 10. And he also met his missus quite early, and that kind of sort of offered him some calmness, I think. They've been together for a long time. So.
But was it a very kind of like, I mean, were you doing drugs at work, drinking at work? It was like one for you, cut a bit of your hair.
Yeah. So we had the dealers coming in, and they were giving free haircuts for drugs and stuff. And it was brilliant.
Yeah, of course. Like, it's okay to say, like, you know, at that point, we're just talking about the progression here, but like, you don't, at that point, you think you fucking got the jackpot. Like, I'm working, making money, I've got a business, and I can drink and take drugs.
It's so acceptable to do those things that you believe everyone else is doing it. If they're not, then you believe they're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And often they are. I mean, the town was riddled with cocaine when we were there. It wasn't like a new thing.
No.
The boys in the barbershops do a bit party a bit. Well, so does everyone else.
Yeah, and
so
you come in here and do it yourself anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was actually kind of like, it was almost like,
Normalised.
it was, people loved it. It wasn't like...
I bet.
Yeah. So it was actually like a marketing point. It was a sales point.
Yeah.
You know, that go and have your haircut by James the Rockstar hairdresser. That was great. But it led to me being sober. So that happened for a number of years.
At this point, like, what are we like? Are we drinking every day? Are we taking drugs every day?
No. Most days drinking.
Yeah.
Most days drinking. Drugs. I wouldn't drink every day. I wouldn't take drugs every day. But my problem was if I went for it, then it'd be three or 4 days.
Same.
That was the thing. And then I'd turn away for a number of months.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, oh, I can't do that for a while. That wasn't healthy. I've gone too far again. I let my gut heal. Let my brain heal. My subconsciousness, and then reevaluate it. Except at the end, obviously. Drinking most days, most days for a long time.
When do the wheels start to come off then in this story?
So there's one particular moment. I was cycling home from Woodstock to where I was living, and I was hit by a car. I mean, there were many moments before which would have been a defining moment where it was obvious I had an alcohol and drug problem, but this was kind of like
Pinnacle.
quite a catastrophe, really. You know, I was hit by a car and I had a bleed to the brain. So I fell through the windscreen of the car, had a bleed to the brain, and I was kept in a coma for 14 hours while that bleed healed. I was very lucky. 50 miles an hour the car hit me at, they suspect, which is very fast on a bike. Very lucky I was very fit. So I've always been into my fitness enough. I was in Thailand for 2 weeks before training. I was actually sober in Thailand as well, because I was very good at having a session and breaking for a little bit for a long...
I did that for a while until the end. Well, also you trick yourself. I was always that 2-weeker, so 2 weeks... not off the back of a massive sesh, probably 3 days. You know, I was very much in that cycle of Friday through to Sunday. When I had a normal job in London, 9 to 5, I would do a Friday through to Sunday session, quick nap, go to work. Sometimes I'd roll through to the Monday. That was a really, you know, and then I'd have 2 weeks off. And then at that 2-week point where I started to finally feel normal again, I'd be like, I deserve it. And I would go straight back to it. But I was also at that time proving to myself, I thought, I'm not a drug addict because I can stop.
This is right. You're
common misconception.
Yeah. So, hit by a car, induced coma, bleed to the brain, not very well, and that's when my folks sort of intervened.
Were you drunk and high when you were on the bike?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
3-day bender.
Okay.
I'd been to a Bullingdon party. The Bullingdon, David Cameron and Boris Johnson.
Oh right, yeah, okay.
Little.
Oh, any stories from that?
I don't remember it.
No.
I remember I was at this party and I remember pretty girls with trays of cocaine. That's all I remember.
Very Oxfordshire.
That's all I remember. In a tent.
Yeah.
That's all I remember. And I broke in. I wasn't welcome. That's all I remember, and I thought it was great. Anyway, so and then that's when we decided.
So you're lying in hospital. You come back round.
Yeah.
Do you know what's happened?
First thing I did, because I was such an arrogant bastard, I started flirting with the nurses. Oh, you're cute, darling. What's up? Terrible. I was literally that. I was that guy.
Are you bad with women? Be honest.
I'm quite. I can be quite charming when I want to be.
But sort of womanising, taking them for.
Not really.
No, okay.
Not really.
A flirt.
Yeah, a flirt and. I was half trouble when I was a youngster. I thought I was James Dean.
God's gift.
Yeah. Yeah. Not really a womanizer, I wouldn't say, but yeah, I mean. So anyway, coma, and then went off to treatment in Thailand. And
had there been any conversations with your parents prior to that? Did they?
Yeah, many times. It was clear that I had a drink and drug problem for a long time.
And what was your response when they would talk to you about that?
Probably fuck off.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm fine. Life's going well. Thank you. Thanks for asking.
I'm making money. I'm running my own business. What more do you want from me?
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Everyone else is up to it, so.
Yeah.
I'm invincible.
Feel bad about that now.
Yeah. It's just part of the journey.
100%.
And it's their journey as well. I mean, my brother started getting irritated by it as well towards the end because I wasn't necessarily, because I was probably a bit worse than him. So I was too up to occasionally missing work and yada yada yada. But no matter what, I managed to get myself in a situation where I was able to earn money. I was able to hold certain things together. But I got out young though.
Yeah.
You know, I'm lucky. I was in my 30 when I got out. So that's it could have been carnage for more years. You know.
So when you had that accident, were you, even though it was your parents sort of being like, you know, off you go to treatment, did you want to go to treatment?
Yes.
Did you?
Yeah.
So let's just go back a bit because I just want to talk about like come downs and things like that, sort of how you've been feeling and up until this point, you know?
One of my main things is I would lie in bed thinking I wasn't going to wake up. Most nights I'd be a bit drunk, a bit high off something, and I'd be like, I'm not going to wake up. So I'd be sleep deprived, I think for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Just anxious, heart racing, the world was ending. It was horrendous.
When you started drinking, this like not being able to stop, I know you say coke wasn't really a thing, but that whole, did you believe ever that you had any control over it?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. Because I would stop for a few weeks.
Yeah.
But there'd be times where I was in the flow of it, in the momentum, and it's all bar, it's off, it's on. You know, you can't physically walk away from. It's almost like you can't avoid it. It's almost like it's out of your control, out of your hands.
I would know by, I don't know, for the last 2 years, even if I'd said in my head, I'm going to go for a drink tonight, I knew exactly how that looked.
Yeah.
I think when you become self-aware of it, those hangovers and come downs become really quite bad. Like when you know in yourself you've got a problem, whether you're telling anyone else you do or not, that's another thing, but you know that you drink and use in such a self-harming way, so self-destructive.
Yeah.
But you do it anyway.
I also had this thing where I've had moderate anxiety or discomfort for a lot of my life, right? So having a hangover was like I was rationalising the discomfort. So I was all anxious today, I'm hungover, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That took me a while to get my head around.
Yeah.
So now I'm waking up uncomfortable, and I'm been sober for a long period. I'm like, oh, that's anxiety, that's annoying. Yeah. Whereas previously it'd be like, it's a hangover, that's all right.
Yeah, that is so true. That's so true. Did you have issues with food?
I did actually.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one from the meeting? Yeah.
Oh no, I just thought about that from my own day.
Yeah, well, I mentioned it to you. The first meetings I met you.
Did we talk about food?
I mentioned it in one of my shares.
Oh, that's probably why I remember.
Yeah, I used to have because I'm quite obsessive, rumination, lots of thoughts. I used to make myself ill and stuff after dinners so that I wouldn't get fat.
Bulimia, yeah.
I thought that I was.
Would you have that binging on a come down?
Binging on a come down, and then you get rid of it. And also, I like the dopamine from vomiting.
Yeah, well, the I didn't know this obviously at the time when I was doing it, but that binging, like once I finished that drug session, I had such a routine of like, that's how that's going to go. Drink, drugs, fags, vapes, 4 days.
Yeah.
Then
B&H Gold. B&H Golds.
Yeah, anything. I was making anything. But
anything.
Anything. Yeah. You know, I was always that person like, oh, there's no coke left. I'd be like, well, there's a pinger upstairs. Should we crush that and sniff it? You know,
right, mate.
Yeah, I just wouldn't care. And it would then, the routine would then go, oh my God, I'm going to have to do the come down. What can I do now that's going to change the way I feel? Food. And in my head, it was always like, well, you haven't eaten for 4 days, so you've got loads of calories to make up. My God, would I fill those calories and more? And I would go and get everything that I have deprived myself of, restricted myself of, put it all in, feel awful. For that, again, that split second where I'm doing the binge, oh, everything feels fine again. And now I feel like I'm going to get fat from all that food. Oh, what can I do? You know, it's like...
Yeah.
It was such
Did you have a problem with food then?
Yeah, massively,
Yeah.
But I was bullied for being big at school, so like I think...
So was I.
Yeah, and then... Yeah, I mean, always. I had a horrific situation when one of my first boyfriends, where the first time that we'd slept together, he said to me, we'd gone out for food after, and he said, God, you look really different without your clothes on. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It stuck with me for life. For life. And it'd been in like daylight,
Bastard.
you know, it'd been in like windows open, no lights down or anything. So it was situation, you know, things that you just...
Yeah.
Oof.
I remember that. I was called fat boy at school, and pizza face, and ugly, and fatty, and stuff. And that did sit with me, I think.
But interestingly, I've never done that to someone. That's something I've never... I just can't, I don't have that in me, that bit. But manipulating, I certainly had in me. Trying to change narratives. If someone had a reaction to something I'd done, I'd be like, I don't understand why you're being so upset about this, you know?
But even though you're consciously bringing it to the table.
I'd hate that. But
the food won them over now, actually, which is nice.
I found that as soon as I got sober, that was something that, for me, like, as much as getting rid of drugs and alcohol, for me, as, you know, not to bring into being sexist, but like as a female, young girl, whatever, woman, that constant narrative of what am I going to eat today? If I start with something bad, that's going to be a whole bad day. Could potentially be a bad week. Yeah. The constant looking at myself, judging myself, picking myself apart. One of the big things I hold on to with my sobriety is like, if you drink and use again, you're going to go back to that critical. Like it ate away at me, pardon the pun, that constant thinking about what am I going to have a good day with food or a bad day with food.
Sounds as though it's
so
quite
tiring,
challenging, yeah.
So tiring, and I've had that whole thing for me is gone since being sober.
Great.
So,
I'm good with my diet. I consciously have to manage my diet, keep myself in good shape. It's one of the things which I'm quite pleased has come out of sobriety, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll fast a bit, and I'll make sure I have good quality foods and exercise, and when you're in that mindset of not giving a shit about yourself and drinking and taking drugs, and the terrible food comes with it, and the unhealthiness comes with it, and once you put the work in, you can find some good routines, can't you?
I think as well they don't feel as hard.
Yeah.
I remember being like, right, you know, in those 2 weeks maybe where I was taking a break from drinking and taking drugs, again, it would be so black and white for me. It's like, right, I'm going to try and have 900 calorie days, and I'm going to go to the gym every day, and I'm going to go walk in the morning. I'm going to do this, and I had to pack it all in.
Yeah.
You know, again, it was very obsessive to be like, all very black and white, very on or off, because then as soon as I touched a drink, I was straight back to that cycle.
I think I've softened a bit recently. Less obsessive, trying to be less obsessive. Takes work.
So, you go to treatment.
My eyes are opened to you know, some meditation. They're open to.
Were you willing to go and?
Yeah, I was up for it.
Where did you go?
I went to Thailand.
Yeah, okay.
Chiang Mai, yeah.
Why did you choose to go abroad?
Because of the martial arts aspect.
Yeah.
I did do a lot of Thai boxing. And I'm interested in meditation and calmness. That's what John said. John was like, send him over there.
Yeah.
I thought, that sounds like a great holiday. Let's go and do it.
That's why I didn't want to go to rehab.
Why?
Because I knew my brain. First point was that I was such a shell of a human by the time I'd walked myself into my first AA meeting. I didn't want to deal with the guilt of the money that someone would have to spend on me.
Yeah.
And the second reason was I was just going to think, yeah, quick holiday, a couple of mocktails, come back.
Alcohol-free pina coladas and see what happens.
Sit by the beach, we'll have a couple of massages.
Self-growth.
Yeah.
Anyway, so went over to Thailand and met some of the best people I've ever met in my life, you know. I mean, one particular girl, I remember her now, was sat by the river, and she was. It's almost like she could weirdly predict what was going on around her in nature, because she was so peaceful and so present. She was like, look at those ants and look at that fish, and sort of, she was very sensory and switched on, and I just was like,
in awe.
I've never met anyone like you before. And then she was an amazing singer and a guitarist, and there was another wonderful guy there who had a retreat in India. He was a Rasta. I spent a lot of time talking to him about reggae and Christianity and love, and I just was like, people who seem to be attracted to drugs and alcohol seem to think similarly to me about life on a deeper fashion.
Yeah.
They want to explore.
Well, I think we notice things like, you know, if it's raining, how the rain falls on that puddle and makes those droplets, you know, the sunlight, how it catches on the leaf, how it, you know, you go through life really picking up on. Yeah,
because you're hyper aware.
Yeah.
And this is what possibly I've seen relative successes in my life, because I do feel like I'm in tune with what's going on a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not, and I'm fucking verging on chronic depression. Other times I'm really, just feel with it, man. I feel like I'm the king of the world sometimes. I think I can, so anyway, so these people were inspiring.
You feel like you're on a different level to a normal human. You just do.
Sometimes, yeah.
Not in an arrogant way. It's that ADHD thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like how you can probably call a spade a spade. Like if you meet someone straight away, you're like,
you ain't right, mate.
You're not there. This is not you. You're pretending.
Yeah.
Takes one to know one.
Yeah. Except with women sometimes.
Except with women.
Except with women
we're different. Yeah, we're difficult.
That's different.
Yeah.
I mean the girls that I'm dating. I mean.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. What does she mean?
So, yeah.
Did you had any therapy up until?
No, nothing at all.
Right.
Nothing at all. So and then we really looked into analysing, you know, the bullying I had as a child, what we spoke of before, and putting in some good practices for me to be able to head back into reality.
And how did that go?
Really well for about 8-9 months.
Okay.
Like incredibly well. And then it all kind of fell apart when I had a knock at my bedroom door. 2 police officers came into my bedroom, and they said, we're arresting you for rape and revenge porn. And I said, you fucking what, mate? And I was in my boxer shorts and I pop at them. And I pushed them away a little bit, and I was quite defensive and I've just been in Thailand fighting. This is what I did. So I've always been a bit up for a fight. It's one of my things. Probably not necessarily fantastic. Anyway, threw me in the back of a van in my boxer shorts, kept me in overnight, and woke up. Didn't sleep, obviously, and then my lawyer pulled me into the room and said, look, you're going to watch a video of the police believe they've got a video of you having sex with your ex-girlfriend, and that you've put it online. They've taken your phone, they've taken your laptop, they've taken what they believe to be, they're going to find some evidence on there. And I was obviously overwhelmed by what was going on. Anyway, I was pulled into the interrogation room, and I watched a video of my ex-girlfriend having sex with someone else.
Did they not recognise that it was someone else?
And I had a tattoo on my leg.
Right.
I said, this is not me. I have a tattoo on. You could have had that afterwards, sir. Go done after the video was made. Okay, well, that ain't my penis. So...
Did it look like you?
It wasn't
Honestly,
me. It wasn't me. It was muffled, and it wasn't overly clear.
Pixelated.
Right. and a bit lost, and you know, it wasn't necessarily very clear. And it had been uploaded onto Pornhub. And
had she not messaged you? I'd asked if you'd done it.
I think she mentioned it over the phone one time, and I was like, "What are you on about?" And we didn't spoken since. Anyway, so. It clearly wasn't me, but then they said they couldn't prove it wasn't me there and then, so I was bailed. Because she doesn't remember it happening and didn't allow the video to be put online, therefore it constituted rape So it was rape and revenge porn. I was bailed for that for 8 months.
You on tag?
No tag. So, and then word got out about these things, and it got around Woodstock, and it got around my friends, and I was off having a breakdown about it. I was already a bit uncomfortably anxious, but I was sober. 8 months sober, and it sent me on an absolute spiral for a number of months, right? And then that led me to see her in a social occasion, and I was like, fuck, you know what? I'm going to get absolutely tonked. So anyway, it went on that it was actually uploaded by someone in Australia, apparently, and it was nothing to do with me or the other person who was potentially
involved.
It was another person who was also bailed for the same allegation, so it was the two of us. And it caused me a lot of stress. It was one of the hardest times of my life.
Yeah.
You know, really tough.
It's also one of those things, like, the more you say you didn't do it, everyone, you know, it's just.
But you also, you start to think you did do it.
Yeah.
In a weird way, because it's like you thought you don't do it for so many times. It can't be me. I've analysed. I'm aware of it. Blah blah blah. But actually, was it?
Was that when you were in your drinking and drugging phase?
I was.
When it supposedly happened.
Yeah, when
as
I was
in
drinking.
The actual,
Yes.
Yes, if that's hard as well.
Exactly, because I'm like, did I do it because I was
You're
so
like,
drunk? And then you do because you're so out of your mind some of the time. But that caused me a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety in my town.
Do you remember the day that you decided, fuck it, I'm going to drink?
I remember the moment, yeah.
Yeah, talk me through that.
I was at the farmhouse and I saw her.
Oh, yeah.
So I went mental.
At her?
No, not her, not at her.
No, you just went.
I went.
Yeah, you were like, fuck it.
Yeah. And that lasted for a number of months.
Big relapse then.
Yeah.
Not big, but you know, it was not like I've had a slip and I've had a night.
No.
What's your view on relapse? Like, people go, relapse part of your recovery, or people say, you know, there's these like counting days, relapse, what's sober, what's not sober. I just, where I'm at in my personal journey is like, if you're happy, and I don't want people to take that as like, oh, I'm happy when I take drugs. It's like, no, if you're, you know, it's down to you, the individual. It's a self-discovery journey, you know, like.
If you're putting the work in, you're working to make yourself a better person, and you're seeking support from other people in recovery, and believing that alcohol isn't necessarily the right solution for you, a relapse isn't the end of the world.
But your relapse there, right? Does that bring on quite a lot of anger towards this injustice of like, this is now a situation that I haven't done, that's now caused me to now relapse, and you go in that spiral mentally of like, well, everyone thinks I've done something that I haven't. I'm on bail for 8 months, something that happens. I'm relapsed. You get into that then self of like, fuck it. Like, my worst time of my addiction was when I just basically went, I'm a fucking drug addict, and what, like, that's it. I can't change it. You know, that acceptance of like, oh well, I've tried. I can't do it.
I think the reason I delved back in was because I was so overwhelmed emotionally that I knew that it would just calm me down. I was looking for a fix. So that was a genuine relapse. That was a genuine hardcore relapse, yeah.
Yeah. And when you're coming down in between those relapses, as in like, you know, between sessions, is it pretty awful?
Yeah. I mean, I've not been suicidal, but you feel like the world's in.
Someone came on here and described it to me in the best way, to me, that I related to, which was that I didn't necessarily want to stay alive, but I don't want to kill myself, but I didn't want to die.
Yeah.
So it was like that thing of like, I don't want to be here anymore in this life and what I'm doing right now, who I am, this situation, but I also don't want to die. You can have a switch with mine. But I also don't want to die.
Thanks, that's yours.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But I also don't want to die because I do feel like I've got more to give to the world.
It's just consistent fear and discomfort for me as well at the time, and I lacked motivation was lacking motivation to do anything. I was overanalyzing things from the past, things I've said, things I've done. You're not in the present. You're not happy. That's what I've.
And I suppose, you know, the overthinking with drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
The overthinking is just wild.
I've got that already, so it's just exacerbated to the point where it's just horrendous. And I've been catastrophizing and creating scenarios in my head that were never going to happen, that could potentially happen, and then hating myself for being in those situations.
Yeah, I was awful for that.
That weird.
Yeah.
It's quite creative, really.
Yeah.
It's creative dislike for yourself.
Yes. Self-sabotage.
Creatively hating yourself.
Yes.
Weird.
Yeah. Did you ever have any paranoia, sort of sleep paralysis, you know?
I said to you before, I used to go to bed most nights not thinking I was going to wake up. That was my one. Over and over again. And imagine that. I having to then you have to drink so much so you fell to get to sleep. You have some Valiums or drinks to fall asleep, and then you wake up and be like, oh, I'm alive again. Fucking thought I was going to die last night. Oh, good, okay. Didn't this time.
Yeah, but then you still do it again.
Yeah, do it again.
So that's the insanity of it.
It's crazy.
The amount of times I would be having heart palpitations.
How brutal.
You know, I've got a heart murmur. That's shocking that I'm alive, really.
Sort of born with a heart murmur?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You've done well then to get...
Really quite well. Yeah. Yeah, that sort of sticks in my mind quite a lot. And it would be the only time I would pray that I'd never do it again. I didn't have any belief in anything, but I'd be like, please God, don't let me die like this. And you know, it wasn't because I didn't want to die.
Yeah.
It was because I didn't want my parents to know that I had a heart attack because I'm off my tits on coke. That's what I'd be thinking.
Yeah, the heart stuff's weird, isn't it?
I mean, I'd done multiple carrying on, even though I would have the heart palpitations.
Yeah.
Genuinely believing it's that coke, it's shit coke. I'll order something from someone I know who's got good gear, and I'll do that. That'll stop my heart palpitation.
I think I'd be trying to balance slow the heart with the alcohol,
yes,
just sort of playing these weird games.
I do that with
different
benzos.
Drugs.
Yeah, Valiums.
Benzos are great.
Yeah, but you know, people say when I'm at benzos, it was like I can I can have a full-on coke addiction and I can sleep. This is great. Yeah. But then I take, then again, you get a tolerance to those, taking 3 benzos a night, and then I'm like, I don't remember.
Oh, I was 8 to 10, mate.
Well, I know people that have got,
Yeah.
You forget days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your relationship like with those? Is that tricky?
It was. I was using it in conjunction with cocaine and alcohol. Yeah, to sleep.
To sleep. Yeah.
To sleep.
So that relapse.
That was a bad one for a number of months. I don't remember how long it was for.
Did you find it hard to tell people that you'd relapsed?
No, I was just sort of saying that this is part of the journey. I'm fine.
At this point, then.
I was kind of so stubborn and arrogant that I didn't really care what people thought anyway.
That's what I was just going to ask you. At this point.
I mean, I had my business sorted. I had 3 shops by then. I had a nice little car, a nice little place I was living. I was okay. I was fulfilling what I believed society's quoted to be. You know.
We talk about sobriety and then emotional sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
If you take where you're at now to where we're talking about in your lifespan now in the story, looking back, is your emotional sobriety anywhere to be seen?
No, I was stubborn, arrogant, not engaging with people, doing my own thing. Yeah, not able to really relate to anyone. But particularly when I was drinking. But then this is what the rehab does. This is what the program does for you. It opens you to other options.
What about friends?
I'd be attracted to people who were doing the same sort of behaviours.
But have you lost friends or had to let go?
Yeah, many times.
Yeah, lots. It's one of my biggest questions. Is like, well, what about my friends? My friends will do it. I'm like, well, you have to make a choice. If you stay in one environment, that's the environment you're going to.
Yeah. I'm sure many people over the years have pushed me away because because of my drug and drink and attitude.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But then the other side of it that's like, I look back and think, God, some of the people who I thought would really get in touch with me, and they just haven't.
Yeah. I didn't go to many weddings.
No. Me either. No, me either. No. Yeah.
But it's also this moving around, as well, that I was doing.
Yeah, hopping from
social crowd to social crowd, for fear that I upset everyone or wasn't fitting in. But this is different now.
So
that's the relapse one, and then another period of 3 years.
What happened with that case in the end?
It was someone in Australia and nothing. Just trauma for me.
Yeah.
I think. She moved away. It wasn't necessarily her fault, right? Because it was the police officers who were unable to make decision there and then to clear me of it. I was so angry at the police, so angry at society as well, for allowing this sort of thing to go on. Even with my sobriety, I was so angry.
Yeah, because like, what's so hard about being a drug addict, especially if people know about it, if anyone or any type of rumour goes on around about you, unless someone who really knows you well, that's going to be believed. That is going to be believed.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see people treating me, because I'm quite aware, treating me differently in social environments because of that stigma, that allegation that had been put towards me. I could feel it, and people mentioned it to my staff. Horrendous, man.
Really
So it's a big one. It's a big one, and it makes trusting people more. I think it's made trust people more difficult for me.
Do you have that thing of why did that happen to me?
I mean,
maybe not now, but then.
No, I don't know. Probably I did. It was quite a long time ago. Probably I did.
What brought you to the end of that relapse then? And thinking I'll go back into recovery?
I don't remember.
Was that pretty dangerous, that relapse?
It hasn't been dangerous. Hasn't been much danger since I was hit by a car.
I mean danger as in self-destructive, like.
I don't really remember. It wasn't.
Did you just, people say that when you relapse, you go straight back to where you started. Was that your situation, or was it gradual?
No, mine's. I had that big night out.
Yeah, at farmhouse.
And then I managed to maintain it to the point where it wasn't. It wasn't all day benders, but it got to a problem again, and I drunk drove again, and I was just like, this is bullshit. I'm not into this. And I did 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did 3 years, and then I was on a beach in Thailand and thought I was cured.
Thought you could have a drink.
Cured.
Oh, it terrifies me.
I had one, and then progressively, 3 or 4 months later, it was bad again.
That would be my story, because I have that conversation in my head a lot.
This is the thing.
I know if I go home tonight and I sat with my parents, I
fine.
actually know that I could have one drink.
Yeah, this is fine.
I don't want to have one drink, and I have to remember that.
Yeah.
That would take me a lot to do it, but to prove to people I could definitely do it, and I go to bed, it would either then send me into the realms of, I can have one, and it would be progressive like that, or when I think about it, and I have to really think about it, I've never wanted one drink. I've never wanted one lime. I've never wanted 1 gram. Everything was excessive.
What I found with my last one.
Yeah. Is this the 3-year one?
No, after 3 years, and then this 3 or 4 month stint that I did.
Yeah.
What I found was, in order for me to not do things too extreme with regards to drinking and drugs, I have to be so conscious. I have to be the right environment. It has to be the right food with the right people. It has to be the right drink at the right time. I had to really analyse and be aware for those 3 or 4 months I was doing it, to the point where it was like not even worth it. It wasn't even fun.
Where you're trying to do controlled drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're like, all right, I've had 2 or 3 now, I better go.
Yeah.
It's just like it's
not even worth it.
It's not even worth it because it's not fun.
We never drank too.
Well, I'm drinking too fast now. I better.
And you think everyone's looking at you as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, like if I sniff, if I wipe my nose, if I touch my nose, if I go to the toilet too many times. That's my own insecurity, by the way. It's my own shit. But
because we're sent to the universe.
Yeah, but I'm insecure about it because I know. Also because I know I was lying, doing that before, like pretending I wasn't what I was. But the one drink thing is, yeah, I think.
So it started with 1, and then it was 2, and then it was like a couple of beers 3 or 4 times a week in the pub. I had a great, and it was enjoyable. And then
all that time you're tricking yourself into thinking,
yeah,
I've cracked it. I've done 3 years.
I think
I'm fine.
I'm fine. And then I had an issue with a partner, and that just sent me to, I got drunk for a couple of days, and I stopped.
Seems to be a bit of a sort of theme with you and sort of the breakdowns of relationships that they send you to.
They do.
And I guess it's that someone kind of, it's that like disposing of you and then you being on your own again. I mean, like my reaction to breakups was also always very traumatic.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on my own.
Self-analysis.
And
then when growth comes afterwards, though.
Yeah. Well, I get cheated on and I think it was my fault. My body's not this, or I don't do that.
Oh, God, it's terrible.
It's just awful. But you can't look at it when you're so blinkered when you're taking drugs and drinking. You know, you can't. Now I go the other way, and I'm like, well, he had a bad. I look black and white. Think, oh, well, he did have a bad relationship with his dad. I'm like, my God, who am I? You know, like I should be angry that he did this, that, the other. But then I'm like, oh, but you know.
Yeah, I've had to with my recent relationship. Then it had to be aware of there's this trauma stuff there that she's had to. That's led her to not be the partner I wanted to be. And that's okay. It's just values weren't aligned. Lives aren't aligned. So I don't. When
you obviously it's called a relapse, but that 3-year one, for example.
Yeah.
Being in Thailand, decided to have that drink. Did you have that like thing of like, oh, this is going to make me feel guilty that if I try and have one?
No, it was I've beaten this.
Yeah.
I've done the work now.
I had a negotiation literally 2 days ago in my head about
this is the
I'll be
problem.
able to have a glass of champagne at Christmas.
I think you're the most vulnerable. I think I'm the most vulnerable when I feel as though I'm in a better space. If I'm struggling emotionally, and if I things aren't necessarily things aren't towing the line, I'll be like, this is the wrong time to get drunk.
Yeah.
Wrong time to have a beer. Wrong time to do this.
Yeah, because my come down will be worse.
Yeah. Come down will be worse, and I'm doing it because I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing it when I'm happy, then it seems more acceptable.
Yeah, complacency can be dangerous, I think, as well.
It's this idea that you got it cracked,
yes.
and I'm not sure that I'm not sure I have.
No, or actually you have, and it being cracked is it's not your thing. That is it.
Yeah.
You're just trying to overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that slowly crept in again, and then a couple of days drinking and did a tiny bit of cocaine, and then I knew that if I'm doing cocaine with idiots at Whitney Pool Club, this is not the place. This is not.
Yeah.
This with builders. This ain't for me.
Yeah.
This ain't for me. So yeah. And then that was 19 months ago. But I think. So the 9 years I've done this, I've been probably sober for seven years of it, 9 years.
And what's your learnings with that? It's not.
The learnings are that reaching out to people who are in sobriety, creating connections with new, creative, innovative, exciting people who are sober is pivotal for me. It's important for me. Exercise is really important. And if I can do some meditation and yoga, then meditation is amazing. That's the only thing to be focusing on. A lot of it is having these sorts of conversations with people who have been on the similar journey.
100%.
Like I feel really present now.
Same. It's mad though.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The shit that's gone on in my life doesn't matter now. The fact that I'm not moving away it's not relevant because having this connection with people who are are good people.
Yeah. It's a common misconception, and not yet, bar maybe a few, but across the board really, all of the addicts I've met since being on this journey, they're just the most incredible people. The most common thing I would say is self-worth. You and I don't have problems with drink and drugs. Yeah. We have issues with ourselves, whether that's been done by other people, sure, that's definitely plays a part, but really, well, I don't know about you, but I I've had some pretty nasty shit happen to me over the years, like a lot of people, but no one has been as horrible to me as I have been.
This is right, and this analysis and this negative self-talk is something which has to be monitored on a regular basis. And for me, there's it's the meditation, and it's the gratitude list, and it's that's what I do. I have to.
It's the same as me.
I have to.
And I now
otherwise
have
I fucking eat myself alive, man.
Yeah, but I also now have that. It works in that way, in the sense that if I don't do it one night, I fucking hate myself.
But it's also been a drive, though, right?
Yeah.
It's a drive to. I played for the rugby, for the martial arts, for the being as physically fit as I am, for having the career development that I have, and the success I've had. So don't get me wrong, it's been a nightmare because it's difficult and it hurts. But it's allowed me to evolve and create some good, cool shit.
Yeah, we don't tend to sit in one space.
No.
I mean, unless you're taking the drugs and the drinking. I mean, I lived to sit in that space for many, many years.
Yeah.
But you always want for more. You don't want to be sat there doing it. I mean, I used to spend fucking days talking about on the sesh how I do this too much and I shouldn't be doing this, and I want to be doing this, that, and the other. Never changing. Because nothing changes if nothing changes.
But would you be doing what you're doing now if you didn't have this?
I do. I regret? People ask me. I regret ever taking cocaine. Sure.
It's not great, is it?
Like, it's the most expensive drug. You give it to everyone else. It lasts, however long. Then you always. It's just.
Why do you think it's so accessible? So I've got a bit of a theory.
Go on.
I think that there is someone sat on the House of Lords that. Bit of a conspiracy theory here, that is managing, or at one point was managing, the import-export of cocaine from South America, and it's to keep our minds dull.
See, I have that view, but on alcohol, as in...
And alcohol as well, yeah.
Yeah, as in, they had to pick one to make legal.
Yeah.
So they picked alcohol, they made a shit ton of money off of it,
yeah.
And it works really well with the system of the 9 to 5, right? Because we give them their weekend, and then they can get as pissed as possible in these houses that we've created for them to get pissed in.
Little boxes.
Little boxes.
Yeah.
You go in there,
stingy pubs.
dull yourselves down, talk about all the shit that you don't like, get negative.
And football's the same.
That's like therapy. Men think that's therapy.
It's not.
Awful.
It's just avoiding you from engaging with the errors of local council and possibly usurping the governments which are creating all number of errors and making people unhappy.
And then, when you've gotten over that, pop you back into your Monday to Friday 9 to 5.
It's just it's social control.
Yeah.
The alcohol and cocaine use is for me is numbing numbing generations so that they aren't pissed off with what's going on.
Yeah, and that's
because once you open your eyes up and realise what's important, and realise how important communities are, and realise how important it is to look after people around you and love and care and kindness, and having those spaces to connect with people, you don't realise there's not much going on here, really.
No.
It's just the pub and football, and there's not really much atmosphere here.
And
there's no soul. There's no religion in England.
And the people
seems like
when you say that to people when you get sober, they go, oh, "Fucking sober people. They're always the fucking same." You know, they hate to hear it. And I was like that, by the way, in active addiction. If I saw someone sober online, shut the fuck up. Have another line. I'd be thinking.
It's like awful. The pub has become like people's religion, people's god.
Or raving.
Or raving. It's not healthy.
Phones
are. I'm too much on my phone. It's horrendous.
I hate how much I'm on it.
I hate it.
I hate it. But the neurodivergent brain, that scrolling on that TikTok, it doesn't make me feel bad about myself. It gives me a laugh. It makes me can disassociate. It quietens my brain. And for the first year of sobriety, if I need to go and have a scroll on TikTok, I'm not going to berate myself for that. I
want to know what was on your brain.
Yeah.
But it's fucking wild, isn't it?
Yeah. But there's this really horrible thing when you get sober that you want everyone to have it.
Yeah.
You want everyone to experience it.
Sobriety, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was like some sort of renegade new Russell Brand or something swanning around like, oh my God, I'm sober, I'm telling everyone about it.
Yeah.
This is before he was referred to as...
a sex pest.
Well, we knew he was, but we kind of idolised him for it, which is a weird sort of circumstance, and then now we've deemed him as...
I'm not sure I idolised Russell Brand, but I
did it when I was a kid, though. He was the coolest kid in the...
I never got that thing. I never got it, but I can understand, yeah. I think it's...
Silly hats and stuff.
Yeah, I can really see that association for you. No, I can. Yeah. That's like a... Yeah. Yeah, quite
icon for me.
Yeah.
Fuck, I used to love ketamine.
Oof, it's a big one now for young people.
It's the one though, isn't it?
No.
For me, it's the best one.
Really?
Yeah. I'm lucky I didn't do heroin because I'd have really got into it.
Yeah.
I'd have been like.
Were you ever around crack or heroin?
No, otherwise I would have been. And I was the character. I thought I could do anything and be okay.
Yeah, no, I was always very scared of heroin. I was never around it.
Yeah.
But one thing, I remember one pinnacle moment of my using where I thought, you're very addicty, and I
addicty,
and I couldn't get any more coke up my nose, so I deconstructed a fag.
Yeah.
And I sprinkled the coke in the fag.
Yeah, I've done that.
And then I dipped it in poppers.
Oof, sounds like a party.
Hair dried it.
I want to be there.
And smoked it. And it was wild.
Fucking wild, mate.
And I thought,
Go Calvin Klein.
I used to love those. Down and up.
Love it, mate.
Yeah.
I used to look for the K-hole because I'd be like, this is where I'm going to get to the point where I don't know who I am.
No, see, I was terrified of that.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I saw too many bad situations with that. I think as a female, I don't know, that lack of control.
Yeah, possibly.
Didn't like that.
I like being out of control.
Yeah.
So
Obliterated.
Absolutely fucking lost.
Yeah. The ketamine is...
The best one.
No. We used to play a game called Ket Roulette.
Oh, with cocaine or cocaine?
Yes!
Ketamine. Yeah, we did that as well, yeah.
God.
Yeah.
See, and I look back at those times and I think, yeah, that was so fun. And it was.
Just bonding.
Yeah. It was fun. There's, but the times where it wasn't so fun was when, I'm on my own and it's a Monday and everyone else has gone to work and I've called up and made my excuses and I'm getting another 8-ball in.
Yeah. I'm
just going to sit there on my own and remunerate off Instagram. And I thought that was fun. Not fun.
Well, you're out now, mate.
I know.
How long have you done now?
I'm coming up to a year, 23rd of March.
Great. Congratulations.
One day at a time. But I do feel, it's hard, I think. Some people say to me, a lot of people will ask me, how do you not get bored? And I suppose I'm very much aware of the fact I've completely cross-addicted into this. And
I know that, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And I find it really fascinating, right? People who have been in recovery for longer, who have that exact reaction is so nice. Yeah. Whereas you can get people who are very like, oh, do that. You get that, don't you?
Since my mum at the beginning, I was like, that's what sounds concerning to me. Anna's done that. Not that I knew you well enough to reach out and say that it was concerning. I didn't, but it sounds like that's going to be another obsession.
But do you think there's good obsessions and bad obsessions?
Absolutely. Yeah. My gym obsession's fantastic.
Yeah.
My work obsessions led me to great things.
Yeah, but I tell you one thing I do get worried about though, is getting bored of this. Because as
well,
we know,
you'll find something else.
With ADHD,
you'll find something else,
but
mate.
you have the dependency of listeners.
But then you've adapt and evolve. I mean, I have did a barbering and then we did lady, and now I'm about to move to Mexico.
Yeah.
Because I've got a situation where I'm bored and not fulfilled. You just do. And if you keep keeping yourself comfortable in a good space, in a good mindset, for me, you're able to creatively find solutions to that discomfort.
Since your treatment, is the rooms the only other form of sobriety help you?
No, I see a therapist.
Okay, yeah.
See a therapist.
I'm just thinking for other people.
So I'll see a therapist once a week.
Same.
And I once had a monk therapist who was an absolute rude dude. He was great.
Yeah, did you like that?
Loved it.
Yeah.
This idea of consciously being present. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Quite like to unpick your brains on AA, fellowship.
Right, okay.
Psilocybin. Thoughts.
Okay.
So, yeah, but you've also done fellowship programme.
Yes.
NA. You've
yes.
done them all? Tried them
all? I've been to lots of all the meetings. Yeah. I think there seems to be a bit more of a stigma of you have to necessarily typecast yourself to one meeting. For me, you need to just try a lot of them and meet different people. The AA program seems a bit more mature. Yes. A mature group of addicts, because that's the demographic seems to attract. And then there's the rawness of the CA, which is equally engaging but can be more pushy. Yeah. I prefer the softer of the AA approach, but I go to whatever is available to me, and I meet everyone I possibly can, and go from there. Really, is that one?
Were you? There's sort of this conversation, if you like, going on around MDMA, obviously ketamine is used as a therapeutic practice. Psilocybin, mushrooms.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, obviously you've got ADHD, myself included.
So I mean, I've thought a lot about this.
Yeah.
Right.
Same.
I thought a lot about it. And I've experimented with weed a little bit, and mushrooms when I've been on my sober journey. I don't find myself getting attached to them the way I did alcohol and cocaine. And actually, I've done a lot of research to suggest that just a tiny bit of it in the morning can be a very calming agent for my very busy mind. So I think it's something that we should be exploring more. And the studies I've read to suggest that it's good for depression. It's a support for depression. Ecstasy was designed for therapy, wasn't it? In the States.
Yeah.
Same with LSD. That's what they were doing it for to create. It was couples therapy, Mandy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. You don't really hear of people getting addicted to mushrooms and going out and being arseholes, though, do you?
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's not.
So I mean, I'm going away. I'm going away
Yes.
to Mexico, and they're all into the mushrooms and sobriety. So there's people in the rooms that go and do mushrooms.
The other thing is that, you know what you were just saying about the government and this sort of cycle thing.
Yeah.
Of course, mushrooms are illegal because we, start to expand our minds and find our purpose. Because that's what those drugs do. If you're in the right setting, of course. I'm not, promoting taking mushrooms, but we're just having a conversation about it.
Whereas I am.
Yeah, well, you can.
I think it's great.
Yeah. Microdosing.
But
also doing spiritual doses.
Yeah. I'm not going through the hero stage where I'm hallucinating, but I'm not knowing who I am. I'm still present, but it's taking the edge off. Takes the edge off life. When you've got as rapid a minds as we do, and we're dealing with frustrations and whatever you're dealing with on a daily basis. Actually, I do need the edge off occasionally. I'm only human.
Yeah.
I'm my own battles that I have to live. I can't walk around like Gandhi in flip-flops all the time, fucking praying. I want to take the edge off occasionally.
Yeah, and I can't do that with the normal societal ways, which is
can't do
drinking a
alcohol
line. So
I think shrooms are okay, and then I've exercised in my other way, and meditation. I'm looking forward to doing some meditation and some shrooms at the same time.
yeah, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, it's something that's worth people exploring with a prolonged period of abstinence, maybe. I think maybe if you just doing cocaine every day for 5 years, then decide, oh, you know what I'm going to do. Probably not a good idea.
No.
But I'm not going to tell people what to do anyway.
But it's self-discovery journey first.
Yeah, I think possibly do some self-growth and discover that a bit about yourself, and then explore those things. But I mean, it's up to
you're the individual.
Individual, but it's been quite a long time now that I've been doing this stuff. So,
Are you happy at the moment?
80%.
Okay.
75%, 80%.
Where's that 20%? What's going on there?
Well, I had this thing with the lad getting. I've just gotten getting murdered.
What happened there? Your friend got murdered.
Got murdered. He was in a crossfire of Muslim gangs in London.
Wow.
And that knock-on effect led to me being just uncomfortable for a few months, and then there was a breakup, and then I'm now moving to Mexico in a couple of days, so I've got a little bit of discomfort.
Unease.
Just unease, yeah, a little bit of, and as you said, I'm attracted to narcissistic women, so there's very much an emotional switch off for her after she got what she wanted.
Which was?
Well, we built a business, and
oh, did you?
Yeah, and
so she's got the business.
Saved loads of money, and got what she wanted out of it. And
what are you going to do in Mexico? Just go and have
work for my laptop.
Yeah.
Work for my laptop, and do haircuts, and yeah. Be creative, be happy. Find the 20%.
Yeah.
That's what I'm after, and I do believe I can find that there. I'm not expecting too much, I don't think, because it's going to be better than the cold of Whitney. I've always felt uncomfortable here.
I feel that.
Because
it's a very odd place. It's incestuous and quite, I don't know, dulls you down. Keeps you in it.
The people are cold. I mean, I played rugby and sport here, and I don't feel comfortable mixing with people I've known for a long time. Still.
Yeah, but I think when you do a level of self-growth, and
This
it's
is
not
right.
to be arrogant, and it's not to be look at me, I'm better than you, but you know, if you level up, and the people that you were hanging around with, you don't have the same hobbies, you don't want to do the same things, you don't want to be, you don't want to be in this cycle of go to work, go to pub, watch football. Like.
Yeah. There's a certain level of self-awareness and awareness of political and physiological issues that are going on in my mind and my body and my life that I can only really talk to people who have got a lot of experience and a bit of possible wisdom. And I can't find it hard to find those people.
Yeah.
I find it hard.
Yeah, and the world is a big, wide, big place.
It is.
And you can only get to those learnings by yourself. That's it. No one's coming to save you. That's what I've certainly learned. Trying to depend on
I just
other
feel
people.
that England's falling apart a little bit. I feel that there's. It seems that people aren't happy with each other. I mean, the people aren't. There's no smiles. There's no social cohesion. The food's terrible. There's no sunshine. I'm not going to whinge and moan about it too much because it's provided me with, a good life a lot of the time. But there are greener pastures out there for me.
Yeah.
I know that for sure now, having seen a lot of the world and having turned up to Tulum and been welcomed. I was on a beach, asked a girl for a lighter, turned out she ran the fellowship in Tulum.
If that isn't serendipity in your sign, I don't know what is.
It's just a sign. And then I ended up doing a share the next day. And then I met an amazing girl called Chelsea who's from London, went to a fancy school by the sounds of it, but I think she did. Hung out on the King's Road when I was there, got loads of the stuff in common, became really good friends with her. Then my battery ran out on my phone and I turned up at a hotel and I said, can I use your charger? He ended up having done martial arts for 14 years, same time as me, got the same glasses on as me, just went through a breakup, quite spiritual, got on really well with him, good buzz, dressed the same as me, like had the same views on things as me.
Yeah, how many more signs do you need?
Just like, this is great. And then the martial arts academy, there was a guy who's two-time world champion martial arts. It's a bit different to the training in Whitney.
Yeah.
I've just got to...
You've got to go and explore that.
The question is, do you need to put yourself in a position where you're able to do those things financially and spiritually, or do you just go and do those things and then become spiritually and financially successful?
I think if you're trying to, you go there, you experience it, you come back to make the money to do and live there in the way you think you need to. The whole time that you're trying to make the money to get back over there, you're hating the fact that you're not even there in the first place. Just do the thing.
Yeah.
Just do the thing.
I wouldn't be ready to go 10 years ago. I couldn't have done it.
Why's that?
Probably because I was drinking too much. Probably, I don't know. Or maybe I was drinking because I was unhappy because I was there, because I was in England. That's the thing. I always felt uncomfortable here.
But I think what's another, which is kind of being shown here, is like when you get to a certain place in yourself, for so many years you haven't trusted yourself or your thinking or your way you do things, and then when you get sober and when you do this self-growth and you're like, I know in every part of my being that I need to be in that country.
Yeah.
You can see it.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I know it's the right thing for me.
Yeah.
And I know that if I'm sober, I'm gonna make a success of it. Because I've had so much shit go on and so much failure with so much difficulty with drinking and drugs that if I stay sober, I know it's all gonna be okay. Because I've achieved something. That's an interesting approach to it. An interesting mindset. Even if everything around me falls apart, at least I'm sober.
Yeah. But you've proven to yourself that only makes that worse if you go back to drink and drug.
Everything gets worse.
Yeah.
For the majority of people.
Yeah.
We're not unique in our addictions.
No.
I mean, you go and walk around Whitney right now, or any English town, and there are people who are struggling with addiction and mental health. And we're not doing anything to help them. It's a pandemic of addiction. It's a real problem, and I don't want to be around it anymore.
No.
I don't want to be around negativity.
I mean, it is hard. I do often feel being here. I'm a minority. I mean, I don't leave I'm at home or I go to London to see my friends, who are very respectful and think I'm great sober. So that's great. I wouldn't go actively into Whitney.
Come and hang out with me in Tulum.
I'm absolutely coming. I can't wait. I'd love to.
Look at me. It's the fucking promised land. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And I've been to the Caribbean, I went everywhere. I've been everywhere. It's the best thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. And guess what, you can get a visa like that. Yeah. And they like us because we're English. We got pulled over by the cops, right? Because apparently I get, and
of course you did.
All the time. And I had this the lovely American girl on my back, and we got pulled over, and they searched me. They go, gringo. I said, no, gringo. No gringo. English. Mate, it's different. England.
He said, you go.
Nah, mate. He goes, okay, so have a good time. Oh. And normally what they do is they give you a fine, because I was going down the wrong way on the street, and I had no drugs on me, obviously, but they normally fine you anyway, just for being a gringo.
Yeah.
Nah, mate. English.
They loved you.
Different, mate.
Yeah.
Okay. But what is lovely is, you go to Spain, and they, because of Benidorm, and because we're buying all their houses, and potentially in Portugal as well, they don't necessarily want as well received, are we?
Yeah,
I'm finding this now.
Yeah.
Mexico, love us.
Yeah.
Cool.
How nice.
Just nice to be well received. Nice to walk somewhere and people be nice to you. I'm going to more birthday parties in Mexico, having met people for 5 days, than I'm in Oxfordshire. I'm invited to people at their birthday parties. They're friendly to me.
Yeah, we're really suffering with like connection in this country.
We are.
In a big way.
Really bad. It's really bad.
I mean, to seek out doing something that's not the pub, and it's effort. You know, Tulum gives off that vibe where if you're walking around, people are smiling and happy. That is not the case in this country, across the board. No one is a happy person.
No.
Obviously, that's generalising, but you know what I'm saying. The vibe of the country, the mood,
is oppressed.
The
oppressed through depression. Depressed through oppression. Keep them small. Keep them unhappy. Give them shit food. It's a problem, and I'm out for now. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll have to get you back on for a follow-up.
Well, I'm going to go and meditate, yoga every day, and I'm going to.
I suppose people who
be at one with my chakra and stuff, you know.
Yeah, get those aligned.
All this stuff that you know. Yes, there's a sense of half of it. Some of it's complete fabrication, but lots of it is. It gives a shit as long as it fucking makes me feel good.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly that.
If I want to believe in God, I believe in God.
Yeah.
If I want to believe in Jesus, it makes me feel good. Great.
Do you believe in God?
God, spirit, faith, a being, yes.
That's going to be my next question, spirituality.
A being out there which is bigger than myself, which is what gives me purpose. Yes. I hope. And when I know that when I'm actively engaging with that and thinking that, I'm in a better space. It gets me out of my ego, gets me out of my head, gets me...
Oh, it gets you noticing those things like meeting the girl on the beach with the lighter. If you're drinking and taking drugs, you'd be like, you just see that as like just met a girl on the beach with a lighter. She happens to run some AA group. I don't do AA, fuck that. But like the serendipity of that whole trip for you.
So good.
Because when you're connected, it's like, you can't not think, okay, hello, yes, this is where I need to be.
Yes. And like,
and then on the back of that, you become grateful because you're like, I spent so many years of my life thinking, what's my purpose? Where am I meant to be? And now, just because I'm living authentically, and I do gratitude, and I have belief, and I help others, and I did it now, it seems so obvious to me.
If you're in a good space, then good thing, you know, in a good space, good headspace, and you're believing in yourself, people around you, then doors open. Doors open because the right doors open.
Lots of people have that barrier to fellowship because of that word.
It either needs to drop your ego and get over it, and actually just realise it's about people. It's not to do with the literature. It's not to do with anything else. It's about meeting people who've been on the journeys and connecting with those souls. And
if you go to a meeting and you think those aren't my type of people, go to another one.
Go to a fucking another meeting.
Yeah, because I can guarantee you there will be.
Or find one online, or move to Mexico.
Yeah, it's the answer to everything. Move to Mexico.
Well, yeah, just there are.
I get it. Yeah.
There are people in the rooms who have, you know, radically changed my perceptions on life and supported me, and they care about me, and I care about them, and that's unique and not available in pubs. Yeah. Because I promise you, when I stopped going to the pubs, they didn't fucking call me and hang out with me anymore. That's for sure. They're not your mates.
Yeah, and the shit you chat about on a kitchen sesh is not going to be the shit that you make your mark on this world.
No.
Let me tell you that.
How many people can you help? How many people can you support? I've
give back. How much did you giving back? I didn't once. I don't give a shit. Yeah, I wouldn't do something for someone else in active addiction.
No way.
Fuck that.
No way.
I mean, if I had to do, you know, it'd be a massive effort. And if I did do something, it's like, where's my accolade?
Yeah, yeah.
Hello?
You're waiting for the response.
Just remember what I did for you.
Where's the feedback on what I've just
said? Yeah. Whereas now it's, you know, you can do things and you just do things.
Hmm.
You don't need to say, you don't need to write a status saying, I gave a man some homeless money today.
Yeah.
Or tell someone
Put on
about
Instagram.
it.
Yeah, well, I've got a sponsor at the moment, helping him and on his journey is incredibly rewarding. It makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah.
And
it's okay to feel good about yourself as well.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we can get really like, you know, we can get a bit, am I allowed to feel like that was a good thing, or is that me being egotistical? No, it can just be quite simple. You've helped someone, they're getting it, they're appreciative of you, you feel good about it. They can't stop there. You don't have
share the love, man,
Yeah.
as much as possible.
Be nice.
Be as much as possible.
But it's hard to be nice when you're in active addiction.
Yeah.
To yourself and
yeah, because it's not real love, not real nice. It's all pretending to be nice. Well, I was. Any more?
Can't believe you're going to go. Thank you for being a Class A person and have the best time in Tulum.